So I was cheating. That was my first slide, so I have extra 10 minutes. Anyways, thank you very much for having me here. When I'm not running, I'm actually measuring human potential. I'm working in assessments business. That's where I can marry actually the data and the love for humans. And we measure employee potential. Then we help organizations to use this data to design succession planning strategies and leadership development strategies, everything that you need to drive organization forward. Today we're going to talk about leadership paradoxes. To be on the same page, paradox are two behaviors that seem contradictory, but actually they're complementary and synergetic, and you need both to be successful. I'll give you an example. For example, the behavior or the trait, frank. Imagine somebody who has this amazing strength of being frank, but actually their team believes they're blunt. Or imagine a different leader who has amazing strength of being diplomatic, but then their team might assume they're evasive. Only when you put those two together, paradoxically, you get the genuine strength. And today I'm going to share how we use paradoxes in leadership development. Let's meet Steve. I selected Steve just for gender diversity on this stage. Sorry if Steve in the audience. Okay, so Steve believes he's a truth teller, but we know what his team thinks about him, right? They think he's kind of blunt. And the challenge is that his bluntness originates in his value system because he believes he's honest. It's all about his integrity. And telling him, stop being blunt, it's like taking part of his identity away. It's just not going to happen because he feels that's who he is. So Steve is a nice person, and we kind of want him to grow into the better leader, to be heard, right? So the team loves him. So what do? Do we send him for this generic communication training? But chances are he'll just pick up even more how to be more to the point, right? How to be more effective in his communication. Okay, let's hold on. Let's not do that just yet. Let me talk to Steve. I would love him to understand the idea of paradoxes, how he can find the equilibrium between his strength in being frank and also the other opposite behavior of being diplomatic and tactful and making sure that his message is being delivered. So when I talk to Steve, I'll tell Steve, you are the star. You have this amazing honesty, and we want you to keep in doing this. You're like a role model. But actually, your communication could be even better if you just add a little bit of diplomacy. Your team will be more receptive to your feedback. They will trust you more. They will become more efficient. Isn't that beautiful? You see, now Steve doesn't feel that I'm taking anything away from him or I'm attacking his identity. Now he understands that actually he has one strength. Why not to get anything else on top of that? That's kind of beautiful, like a Swiss knife, right? You have a screwdriver, you have a knife, now you have scissors. So now we can send him for the new training, right? Now he knows what he lacks. He knows what he would like to develop. He can work with the coach. Now he'll focus on the specific behaviors that he needs for his success, right? So over 30 years of research in Harrison assessments, we discovered 12 leadership paradoxes. They describe how leaders act in interpersonal relationships, how they achieve, and how they manage projects and people. The beautiful thing that these behaviors can actually be measured, and that's what we do. And when you can measure, you can manage, right? So now, when Steve comes to me and he asks me, so how much of diplomacy do I need? We'll just look at his graph after he completes the assessment. If he's blunt, or let's say frank, at 9.5, it's obvious he needs at least as much of diplomacy, right? Kind of a big gap because he's at 3 right now. It's like, just do as much as you can. Why I love paradoxes? Because they tell you where you are, they tell you what the best outcome looks like, and then you can tell what your journey is going to be like from point 1 to point B. It's beautiful, personalized. If you really understand how it works, you can tell that those paradoxical behaviors, they lay in the core of the jobs of behavioral competencies. If we can measure that, we can really drive the organization forward. And mastering your paradoxes is like learning to drive. With time, you understand what kind of gear you need on every turn of your way, right? And that makes your teams more productive. It makes you a better leader. If you kind of like that, just scan QR code, connect with me, and if you would like to see a couple of your paradoxes, just reach out. I'll be somewhere around having a drink. Yeah, thank you.